Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Mayorkas, just a few additional questions. I just want to clarify something you just testified to Senator Cruz. I think you just said that your view is that paying illegal immigrants $450,000 or more, million more per family, $1.8 million, that is not a pull factor. In other words, it wouldn't encourage more illegal immigration, right? You said not a pull factor, your words.
May I have the opportunity to answer this question?
Well, I just want to be, you said not a pull factor, right? I couldn't quite hear you at the time, so I just want to be sure that's what you said.
The settlement payment of the federal tort claim charge arising from a family separation effected under the prior administration's zero tolerance policy would not be a pull factor. That is my testimony.
That is your, understood. I think that's news, that you think that these payments to illegal immigrants would not be a pull factor, that paying them would not encourage more illegal immigration. That's news. Thank you for that. I want to ask you about something else that's been in the news. Back in March, when the president said that Vice President Harris would be his border czar, he said she's the most qualified person to help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border. That's President Biden. Do you report to her?
Senator, I report to the Vice President and the President, and your question misstates the facts. The President did not appoint the Vice President to be the border czar. He asked her to lead the effort in addressing the root causes of irregular migration. Those are two very different things.
I see. So is she working closely with you on that important endeavor? How often do you meet with her?
I am certainly in close touch with the Vice President.
How often do you meet on this subject?
I've met with the Vice President more than a handful of times.
But more than a handful? Well, so what's that mean? 6 or 7 times in the last year?
Oh, no. First of all, I have not been in office for a year, Senator. Secondly, I am in close touch.
So she's very involved in the department's policies and in what's happening at the southern border. You've traveled to the border together?
Senator, allow me to repeat my testimony that the Vice President's focus is on addressing the root cause.
I heard your testimony. I'm asking you a question. My question is, do you travel to the border together? Are you devising policies together?
I have traveled to the border once with the Vice President to El Paso, Texas, so that she could see firsthand the challenges that we face.
And has she been part of your policies, to your decision to end the Remain in Mexico policy, to end the public charge rule, to change the ICE guidance? Has she been part of those decisions?
I have not consulted with the Vice President directly about those policies.
So what is she doing exactly? You said she's not the border czar, that's not her role. We were wrong about that. She's not doing anything like that. She's doing something very different, is what your testimony is, but you're not actually consulting with her on any policy. So what is it that she's doing exactly?
Senator, as I have repeatedly testified, she is focused on addressing the root causes of irregular migration in the context of the migration challenge.
How's that been going?
That is we are advancing considerably, and in fact, I am contributing to that effort.
You think the policies are working?
I have met with the leadership in Mexico, in Guatemala, in El Salvador, in Honduras, and other countries to address.
And those efforts are working? That's been successful?
Oh, this is a
Time's
process.
expired. Grassley, Senator Blackburn.
And Mr. Secretary, thank you for allowing us a second round. During the first round, for the record, I just want to say this. You wanted to challenge the stats that I was using, but the stats we're using are government stats, and they are accurate. But your attitude during that response was duly noted. I want to go to part of the response you gave to Chairman Durbin when you talked about technology. I have talked with local law enforcement and Border Patrol on the border, and yes, they all say they have needed the wall. They need technology where the wall cannot go. They need more agents and judges. But they have told me repeatedly that you all are removing technology from the border. So I would like to know if that is accurate or inaccurate, and if you want to come back to me with a response in writing, that would be helpful, because technology is something they need for surveillance.
Senator, I'd be very pleased to follow up with you, because I'm not aware of the removal of technology. And let me also, if I may, because you referenced my attitude, and I hope I was unflinchingly respectful in response to your questions,
Well,
and I apologize if you took it otherwise. I certainly did not mean to be.
Let me return to a question. Senator Graham has asked you, and I notified your staff that I was going to ask you this question. The total number of illegal immigrants in this country with an NTA or an NTR, and we would like to have that total number. And today you've been unable to provide that number.
I have that number, if I may.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
Senator, between January 1st and October 31st of 2021, my data indicates that 210,465 non-citizens were issued notices to appear, and 94,581 were issued notices to report. We've discontinued the practice of issuing notices to report.
Okay, so we still have a lot of people that we do not know where they are in this country. If those are your numbers for what you have issued as NTAs and NTRs, but you also say there are 1.7 million people that have entered. In talking to Border Patrol, they think the gotaways number is high as 1.5 million. So, you know, it leads me to this number that you all say is in the country, where you continue to use the 11 million number, and I know Yale and other universities in their studies have challenged that number. You, as head of DHS, should have a more appropriate number for us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Incompetent people. We have incompetent people running our country, and our country has never been in more danger of World War III than it is right now. And we don't want to be the world's policeman. Under my leadership, our police and law enforcement knew that we had their back. We had their back. I gave them billions of dollars of excess military. We had military equipment in storehouses, warehouses all over the United States, and they didn't know what to do. They said, we can't give it to them. I said, why don't you want to? Because it will look too military. It will look too, this is a lot of it is safety equipment, you know, trucks that are armor plated and things when they go into riots. And I gave it to them, billions and billions of dollars, and it's had a profound effect. And it was just sitting there gathering dust. It would have been valueless over a period of time. But today I want to express our profound condolences to the family of police officer Kevin Cram, who you know, who was gunned down in the line of duty last week in Algona. You know all about it. Gunned down. We send them our love and our prayers, and we want every police officer across this state to know that they are heroes and they have our total support. These are great people. Our police officers are great people. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Unlike Biden, I stood proudly with our friend and ally, the State of Israel. I kept my promise, recognized Israel's eternal capital, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. And I got it built also, by the way. Would have taken 25 years for somebody to get it built. I got it built very quickly. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights, something that they've been working on for 58 years. Planes would fly in every year. They'd come in and they'd leave. Nothing would happen. I got it done very quickly. And I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. The bad part is they haven't done anything with it. And now Iran's making nuclear weapons, and this guy does nothing about it. That was the biggest thing I did for Israel. I ended the Iran nuclear holocaust, I call it. It would have been the worst. And we were going to make a deal. We would have had a deal with Iran within 2 weeks after the election took place. And when that happened, all of a sudden China went back to buying oil. I prohibited China from buying oil. I said, if you buy oil from Iran, you're not going to buy anything. We're not doing business with you. We're going cold turkey. A lot of people like that anyway. We're going cold turkey. They said, sir, we would never want to buy oil from Iran. Now they're buying millions and millions of barrels of oil, making Iran very rich. And we would have had a deal, good for everybody, good for Iran, frankly. We would have had a deal, but the election got in the way of that one. We did the Abraham Accords, we did so much, but we would have had a deal there, and that would have been a good one. But they've done nothing with it. They haven't done anything with it. They had such a great negotiating position, but they had no idea. But all of that was just the beginning. Here's just some of the agenda that we will immediately implement when we become the 47th President of the United States. This is a movement.